In this video series, we'll look at Alpine.js, a new lightweight JavaScript framework which is heavily inspired by Vue.js. I wanted to make a practical Alpine.js tutorial, and so in each episode of this series, we will create an application. In this first episode, we will create this simple Alpine.js application and look at the basics of Alpine.js. The application is very simple. I am clicking on the button and Alpine.js makes a request to an API and get a joke about Chuck Norris. And that's it. Very easy and simple Alpine project. On the Alpine.js website, we can see that authors said that it's a minimal tool for composing behavior directly in our markup. And we can think of it like jQuery for the modern web. Also, there is a small example of its usage without bundling. It means that we add its script to a template and then we can use it right away. Alpine.js is quite minimalistic framework and it consists of just 15 attributes, 6 properties and 2 methods. And here we can see examples of its usage. If we look at its GitHub page, we will see that Alpine.js got 21,000 stars, and it's quite a lot. Alpine.js very well fits to a relatively small project, where using of Vue.js or React will be an overkill. And it's quite handy to use it without bundlers like Webpack. Its main idea is quite simple. In some elements, in a div for example, we add a special xData attribute. And since we added the xData to an HTML element, this element becomes an Alpine.js component. In the xData attribute or directive, we can set initial data for this component, and all its child elements get access to its data. All DOM manipulations we can perform by using Alpine.js directive, special attributes of HTML elements. The directives which Alpine.js provides are very similar to the Vue.js directives. For example, it has the xbind directive and on, for, if, HTML, and so on. As all modern JavaScript frameworks, Alpine.js is a reactive framework. It means that if some data are changed in one element in one place, we can immediately see automatic changes in all other places where this data are used. Also, we can combine using of Alpine.js with the native JavaScript, and this can give us an additional flexibility. Let's create a new file, index.html for example. Let's make initial markup. Then from the documentation, installation section, let's copy this line, or maybe this, for the stable version. And let's paste it to the header tag. Okay, let's create a new div element. To make this div an Alpine.js component, we have to add to it the xData attribute. xData can have as the value only objects, or it can be empty, like this. Let's add a new key to this object. Let's say it'll be a visible key, and its value will be false. All code within the object is executed like JavaScript, it's not just a text. And also all data defined in the xData object become accessible for all children elements of the container with the xData attribute. Then inside this div, let's create another div with some text. And now I want to have this text hidden or shown depending on the value of the visible variable, the visible key of the xData object. So I have to bind this hide or show behavior to the state of the visible variable. And we can do it by using the xShow directive. And then let's set its value directly to false. And we can see that the text is gone. By the way, let's add Bootstrap to our project. And I want to wrap my dev with some Bootstrap devs with the Bootstrap classes. Then let's change the false value to true, and we can see that the text is appeared. And of course we can use the visible variable as the value of the xShow attribute. It's gone and it's shown. The next step. Now I want to change the state of the visible variable by some event, by a click on a button, for example. So let's create a button. Let's say it'll be btn CSS class and btn primary. And the text will be toggle. Margin from bottom 5. And now I'm going to add an event listener on the button. With Alpine.js it's quite a simple task. Let's add the xOn attribute to the button. xOn. The xOn attribute, it's an alternative to the add event listener method. Then I have to set a colon and then specify the event I want to listen. It's the click event. And as the value of the xOn attribute, I can use the following expression. I want to set the visible variable to the not visible value. Visible gets a new value that is equals to not visible. That is, if the visible is false, then not visible is true, and vice versa. And we can see that the button works. Then, instead of this expression in the xOn attribute, we can use a function. Let's create a function in the xData object, comma, and let's say that the function will be just toggle. And let's change the value of the xOn attribute of our button to the toggle function. Then, in the body of the toggle function, I want to use the visible variable, which is defined in the same xData object. We need something like we used in the xOn directive, something like visible that equals to not visible. But it doesn't work. If we look at the console, we can see the reference error visible is not defined. And to fix it, we have to use the this keyword. So, this visible variable is not equal to this visible. And now it's working. Then, let's add to the div with text another directive, xTransition. And if I click the button, we can see that the transition was added to the element. Let's add a modifier to it, the duration modifier, and set its duration to 500 milliseconds. And we can see that the transition effects became slower. 1000. Okay. xTransition can be used with the xShow and the xIf directives only. Okay. We have here some hard-coded text, some text. And in some cases, it's a wrong way to do things. In some cases, we have to use variables, like in case with the visible variable. So let's define in the xData object a new variable, a new key. Let's say it'll be the post body key. Post body. Don't forget commas. And its value will be a very long post body, for example. And we have to use single quotes here because double quotes we used to define the value of the xData attribute. Okay, we got the post body variable. How to use it to render its text? We can use it with the xText directive. So let's add to the text div the xText directive with the post body variable as the value. And let's remove the hard-coded text. And we got the value of the post body variable. Okay, it's working. And the next more interesting example, let's make a request to an API and get the data and then render it on that page. My favorite API returns a random joke about Chuck Norris. So let's rename the button to the get joke. Let's delete visible and post body variables. Let's delete toggle function also. Then from the text div, let's remove xTransition and xShow. And the value of the xText attribute will be joke variable. Okay, then let's create the joke variable in the xData object. Then the buttons on click handler will be the get joke function. Get joke. Okay, and finally let's define the get joke function in the xData object. Comma get joke. Nothing new here, just a little bit of renaming. So now I want to make a GET request to the API. Let's define in the GET joke function the response variable. It'll be the response from the endpoint. Let response. Then I'm going to call the fetch function that will make a GET request to the following address. Await fetch http API chucknorrisdb.com jokes random. Calls of asynchronous functions should be done with the await keyword, and the get joke function should be asynchronous too. Async. Okay, we got the response, and the response object is huge and contains not only joke but other data. So let's define the joke variable, and then let's call the JSON method of the response object to get the body of the response. Await again response JSON. And now let's assign to the joke key of the xData object a new value. This joke will be joke variable. This joke local variable. I need its value and I need the joke. And let's test it. And with each click we are getting a new joke. And follow me on Telegram, the link will be in the description to the video. And if you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next Alpine.js tutorial.